on to day, I think it's 11. I missed 10 yesterday, so I'm going to show you some stuff from yesterday, so I'm going to call it 10 and 11. I'm going to cheat a bit. So, for my Vlogmas, sorry, I should have said Vlogmas. So yeah, yesterday was quite a busy day. I was cutting out some patterns, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And yeah, last night we went out. We went to see an ABBA tribute band. Now, we went to the All Sages Civic Hall, which is holds many memories for me, because that used to hold discos in the 70s. So it was a massive thing at school, that was. So I think it was on the Wednesday, they had what was called the under 14s. So that's where I first went to my first disco. And it was a bit of a cringer, really, because I was at boarding school at the time. And I remember coming home for the half term, and my friend said, oh, we go to the disco on a Wednesday. Would you like to come? So I asked mum and dad if I could go, and they said I could. And oh my goodness, because I was at boarding school, my main wardrobe was just uniform. Really, I didn't have a lot of clothes. And I remember my mum dressed me up in this, and it was crimpling. And it wasn't even in then. And it was like a crimpling striped dress, and it had a white yoke with navy blue bric-a-brac round, and they had this long hair and these tights and these school shoes, because we used to have 2 pairs of school shoes at school, and there was ones for going out, and they had a buckle on, and they had these brown flat buckle shoes. And I went along to this disco, and round the perimeter there used to be all seats, and I just sat there really mainly for the whole night, while people come up and asked who I was, because they didn't know me from school, from the local school. And when I think back to that, my first disco, it's a bit of a cringer, really. And make matters worse, the crimpling striped dress, it was red, blue, yellow, all these gaudy colours. The crimpling striped dress had gathers on the cuff, you know, like an elastic gather. So, and just went to my knees. And then later on, I left boarding school and went to the local school because I wanted to. And so that was when I was about 14. And yeah, I used to go to the over 14s disco, and I progressed then to Chelsea Girl, which was a very modern boutique, if anyone remembers. Chelsea Girl was a chain of boutiques up and down the UK, and we used to wear bags with really wide trousers, so I progressed to them, so I was a bit more cooler. But and I wore a black cord coat. I'll pop a picture up of me wearing the black cord coat because I thought I was really cool. But yeah, when I went in there, I thought, gosh, it hasn't changed much at all. So it brought back quite a few memories. And tonight we're out again. We're going to a Christmas dinner at our local village hall. And we're having, I think it's a 4-course meal actually, or 3-course. I don't know how they're going to do it, but anyhow, I'm there. And we're having a disco after, so yeah, I'll be tired again. We're feeling it this morning with all the dancing. So anyhow, yesterday was Friday, which would have been the Friday sews, and on Thursday it was my thimble Thursday, and that's when I work on cross stitch. So I'm working currently for my Christmas cross stitch on Kringles. So this is Kringles, my Christmas cross stitch. I'll put the fabric in there obviously to just protect what I've stitched already from the hoop. So there we are, and I've got one of the store windows now finished, so I'll bring that up a bit closer and you can see. I think it's a doll and a toy soldier, and the Christmas trees and a present and the garland. So that's all now stitched. So I'm going to take it out the hoop a bit later and re-hoop it on Tuesday. So I'm going to take it out the hoop later and re-hoop it for this middle window, and I'll work on that on Tuesday, which will be Thimble Tuesday. Oh, I just love all this. So one of the things what happens in the UK on the 10th of December was Christmas Jumper Day, where everyone can either wear a Christmas jumper to school or work, and they donate £2 to Children UK. And I wanted to make some jumpers, some silly Christmas jumpers for my grandchildren. However, there's no way I'd have the time to do all this in time for for December the 10th. I just couldn't fit it in. But what I have done is I've gathered up all my scraps of jersey fabric. Because what usually happens is you fold your fabric in half, so your two selvages at the top, and then you usually cut your front and back out of the fabric on the fold, and then you cut your sleeves out. Well, usually there's huge chunks of fabric left because of the positioning of the jersey, because obviously you don't want a join, a seam at the front or the back, so that's why you get a lot of fabric left over. I'm talking quite big pieces, So what I've done is I've gathered up all the scraps now. I'm using the Ellie and Mac pattern for the boys, and it's called the half pipe tee. And if you remember, not so long ago I made a Freya top. I'll pop a card up to that video if you haven't seen it already, that vlog. And it was a Freya jumper, and I used perfect jersey, a navy colour, and I've purchased that from Stitchy Bee, an online shop in the UK. So I cut out of freezer paper last night the Ellie and Mac patterns. What I've done for my grandson, he's 10, but I'm making a 12-year-old because, they soon grow, don't they? They grow so quickly, and I don't think a size bigger is going to harm him. They soon grow into it, as my mother would say. I always just buy my children's clothes a size bigger. But what I've done here is I've actually lengthened the pattern by 1 inch, and also in the arms, because he is rather long in his torso and his arms. So that's what I've done. So that's the perfect jersey I've used for that pattern. And over the weekend I will be sewing all these scraps of jumpers up. So that's what I'm doing. Now, one of the questions Jen has asked is, and I'll explain about this in a minute. One of the questions Jen asked for the Friday sews for our Vlogmases is, what was something about a holiday present you've made someone, what was your best holiday gift you've made someone? Well, I usually make homemade presents, and one year I made all my daughters some scrapbooks, and I don't think they went down too well, to be honest. But usually I get asked to make nativity. Now, I just thought I'd show you this pattern. It's Simplicity 5448, and although it's not nativity as such, it's great pattern for tunics and what have you. If you're sewing something for the nativity, you can just make it a little bit longer, so I just thought I'd show you that. But I did make my granddaughter, and this was years ago, I'm probably talking over 10 years ago now. She was in a play, and they had to have a Victorian dress, and of course I would go a bit overboard, and I made view C. So this is Simplicity 3725, and I made that view. Obviously they were carol singers, so I didn't make it in the pink and all the floral, like I would have liked to have done. I made it in a green coloured fabric and cream, so I'll pop a picture up and you can see that. And then hopefully, now I don't know where the rest of the photographs are, so if I find them on my laptop I'll upload them. But yeah, I made of that, and still got some of the fabric left from that make. But making, I mean, cutting that bustle out, oh, and pinning that was a headache. But it's such a beautiful pattern. I'll bring it a bit closer and you can see. I'll turn it over and you can see the line drawing as well. So that's a bit better. So yeah, and she felt like the belle of the ball in that dress. So yeah, that's what I made her. So I think that, although I did buy her a Christmas present, that was a gift from me at the Christmas period time, should I say. That did go down well. So when I first read the question, I thought it said what was one of the best holiday gifts you'd had. But I thought I will talk about that, because if I showed you this, it wants a good clean really. It's embarrassing. It's been stuck in a drawer. But this is a melodica. Oh, there you are, still plays. So that was my main Christmas present one year. I think I was about 10. So this must be getting on for 40 odd years. Yeah. And my sister had a green one, and that was slightly bigger, you know. So, because she was older, she had a bigger one. But yeah, the melodica. I've lost the case to it, unfortunately. And this one with the lines, that's middle C on the scale. So I think I used to play once in Royal David City or something like that. I managed that tune on it, that carol. But you want, you know, if you give a child that now, I don't know what they'd say. But yeah, that was my present, my main Christmas present, and I loved it. Played on it all day. I bet it drove my mum and dad mad when you think of it. 2 melodicas tooting away. But yeah, those were, when you think back now, I remember my grandma talking about hoop and stick. Some probably thinks, how did I amuse myself with that? But so yeah, I'm about to go now to a card making class at the local garden centre. So I'll check back in with you in a moment. Okay, so I'm back from my card making class, and yeah, hair's flat as a pancake because it was raining. So before I go out tonight, I'll have to put some curlers in. So I've just bought a little couple of goodies from my class. So I bought an anti-static pad for when I do embossing, and what I'm going to do is this week I'm going to make some more Christmas cards. I'll show you a bit of a process of that. It'll be sort of a quickened process, and I'll do some embossing. I've got a couple of little distress inks because these are colours I wouldn't usually use, but I've got an idea of what I want to do for one of my Christmas cards. And I bought some turquoise sparkle embossing powder. It looks really, it's not going to pick up the sparkles, but anyhow. And then this is what I made. I mean, I will stick this to a card, but this is embossing. So basically you get your stamp and you stamp it on what's called Versamark for those who are not card makers. Otherwise I'm teaching grannies to suck eggs, aren't I? But the Versamark's like a glue, a pad. It looks like an ink pad, but it's got like a glue. So when you put your stamp on top of this glue pad, and then stamp on here, you'll see just an outline of glue, and then you sprinkle on your embossing powder, and then with your heat gun you heat it up, and it gives this like you can't, if I hold it there you'll see, and it feels quite thick. It's really good fun, embossing is. So that's one, and then this is the other one. Now the lettering didn't turn out right on that, so what I will do is just cut the poinsettia out, but it's embossed in gold, and then I've coloured it in with some pearlized paints. So there we go. A lot of you have kindly commented on the vlog when I went to Gladstone Pottery Museum, up the potteries. So what I intend to do is in the next few days I'm going to do another visit, and there'll be a visit to Stoke and a visit to Hanley, and you'll see hopefully some Emma Bridgewater, and then of course there's Tunstall and there's Burslem, which is the mother town of the 6 towns. And Burslem, we've got the famous Middleport pottery, let alone that, you know, Slash, the famous guitarist from Guns N' Roses, was born in the potteries, Robbie Williams, Captain Smith from the Titanic, or even the inventor of the Spitfire. Forget all that when we've got Middleport pottery coming up. Right, so I'm going to cut out the rest of my jumpers, and I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll look at the progress of those. Okay, until then, bye.